welcome to Mamarama. It sounds like a game show. Mamarama, the program for parents by a beleaguered parent herself. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do today or talk about or what have you, because today's show is going to be a little loosey-goosey. Gonna kind of try, just sort of speaking off the cuff, as it were. I mean, I have some props, I have some things ready, I do have some things I want to discuss, but I'm just gonna kind of let it sort of evolve. I don't have any kids hanging around today, which is good for me and not so good for you. Why? Because it's like, it's like comic relief when they come barging in and then I make them disappear by my in-camera editing. But it's better for me because then I can like focus and not be so distracted. So without further ado, let's start and see what we have to talk about today. I was going to apologize. My last show I was on stability ball. I always call it the birthing ball, right? One of those balls that you do exercises or stretching on, and a lot of people use it during labor as a it's a great labor tool, when you're trying to have a baby, yeah, basically. And it's so anyway, I was sitting on it and you couldn't see it. I was like off camera, obviously. I was sitting on it, but the whole show I was like it was really annoying and distracting and so forth. Okay, so okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about, which of course I'm taking from real life, my own experience here, is let me show you what I've got here, and then we'll sort of piece this together. What is this? This is a 3-hole punch. Okay, bought it at Target. 3-hole punch, very useful device, right? And this is also, you can buy at Target, just like a little 3-ring binder, plasticky, and has this little sleeve in the front. And I put my daughter's name and her class, her year, and that sort of thing, and a little picture here. And what am I going to fill it with? This unbelievably is a year's supply of stuff that we have accumulated, over her past, first grade. It's like homework and spelling tests and illustrations and stories and cute little poems and stuff that are like laminated, photographs, report cards, her writing folder. I mean, you name it. It's like this giant mess. And one of the goals I had set for myself this summer was to weed through this, organize it, 3-hole punch it, and put it in this lovely little organizing folder here. So I think the whole thing is rather funny because it sort of goes against my grain. I don't know. Normally I might just kind of let the whole thing go or just kind of stuff it in a box or something. But this friend of mine told me that this is what she does. But I don't think she saves it up so it grows into this enormous mess. But she does this thing where I think as the papers and drawings and so forth come in, she hole punches them and puts them in the folder and kind of keeps this ongoing, piece of memorabilia for. It just seemed like such a great idea when I heard about it. I was like, oh wow, that's brilliant. I'm going to do the same thing. And so clearly I've made some steps toward doing it, but I haven't actually done it. I think part of what makes it a little overwhelming is that it's a lot of stuff, and you you have to play editor, basically. You have to go through your child's stuff and pull out those things that maybe aren't worthy of saving and so on. I think it's very tempting, like when your children are small, that you kind of want to save everything. And if you do that, you are soon going to be overrun by papers and drawings and all of that. I mean, they produce a lot of stuff, and I don't know, it's just like it can get to the point where it's too much, and then you don't want to be in a position where you throw it all on a bonfire. No, you would never do that. I mean, I don't have anything from my youth, really. I mean, like a couple of things maybe I could find, or I sort of remember seeing them as I was growing up, but now it's like they're lost, they're gone. Oh, and another friend of mine had her mother had saved all these things, like from childhood to up until she was 18, like all her, and she presented it to her as a woman, as a grown woman. Just, she was blown away by the ability to look back at yourself and get that insight of like, wow, this is the poetry I wrote when I was in 6th grade, and look at these stories and these drawings I created. Like, it's really a beautiful window into who you are, and I love that notion, and I just thought, like, what a great thing to be able to give my children. But that requires some effort on our part to put it all together and to be kind of organized about it. And that kind of brought me to my my other thought that I wanted to say, was that I think that when you have kids, it brings up your organizational abilities and disabilities very strongly. I think that it's for a lot of people, it's like a lot of parents feel like there's this constant sort of like shifting of things, like in term, like just for clothes, for example, as when babies grow into toddlers and then grow into bigger kids, you've got this constant like shifting of the seasons and things that they've outgrown, and where do you put these things, and what do you save? What do you save to pass on? What do you save to give to other people? What do you give away? What do you throw away? What do you give to the consignment shop? It's like, and that's just one piece of it, and then there's all the other stuff. And like, I'm always amazed and I'm amazed by parents who like manage to keep all the puzzle pieces together, from like all those toys, and are able to pass them on to somebody else. Puzzle pieces, any sort of pieces of like elaborate toys. I don't know. And then I see other parents who are just like, oh, organization is really overrated. And sometimes it's just like your world becomes this kind of messy sort of household that you just sort of live in and you deal with, because it's not the priority, and you have other things that you have to cope with. So making sure that like everything in your child's drawer is season specific and fits them perfectly is might be on this sort of low end of your priorities. I don't know, but anyway, it's just an interesting thing that happens, and I think about it a lot, how like, you can sort of feel like it's one of those things that that you notice about other parents. Like, you might go to someone else's house and kind of look at how they did things, and kind of like I did with this little folder thing, where I thought like, wow, what a great idea. And the funny thing is that for this particular parent, this is her nature to be this sort of organized and methodical about it, and it's kind of not my nature to be that way. So I may sort of strive to do that, but at the end of the day, I'm left with this giant pile that I find like rather intimidating. So anyway, I guess the best you can do is laugh about it and just kind of deal with it, I mean, there are always these things that like, okay, I'm done rambling on this topic. All right, let's move on. What else did I want to talk about? I'm gonna pause here for a second while I collect my notes. What notes?